Hey, Tommy from the Run Testers. In this video, I'm going to be having a first look at the On Cloudboom Max. Let's have a look. The On Cloudboom Max costs £220 or $230. It weighs 283 grams or 10 ounces for men in a size 8, and the drop is 8mm. Where the Cloudboom Strike is focused on seasoned racers, the Cloudboom Max is designed for marathon runners of all levels. The Max Stacked midsole is designed to provide a balance of softness and responsiveness for tackling 26.2 miles, while the glass fiber-infused Speedboard and updated shoe geometry aims to improve efficiency for those wanting a 4 to 4.5 hour marathon. The midsole is made from a dual layer of Helion HF Hyperfoam for improved energy and comfort, along with more support and cushioning than many elite-focused super shoes. There's a light, breathable mesh upper that molds and adjusts to your foot's movement over long distances, and a generous rubber outsole to ensure a high level of grip and protection for the midsole foam. So I'm a size 8 in the UK, this is a size 8. What I actually found about this shoe is that there is not a lot of space before my big toe. Definitely not as much as I would like in a shoe, and I normally don't need that much space, but I could feel my toe touching the end of the shoe when I was out running, because it does sort of push your toe forward when you're running in this shoe, and I definitely felt it rubbing a bit too much against the end of the shoe. So I definitely go up half a size in this shoe. The rest of the shoe is actually pretty good. There's plenty of space around the forefoot. Midfoot's got a nice fit to it. Doesn't feel too restrictive, but you get a nice lockdown in it when you've done them up. I like the padding around the back of it, and the tongue, it doesn't have loads of padding on. It's very comfortable. So yeah, I would go up half a size in this shoe, because I definitely was struggling a little bit with my toe at the end of it. So I haven't tested the last couple of carbon plate race shoes from On, and so I'm coming at this slightly fresh, because the previous shoes that I've tested from On, the race shoes, were part of the older generation of shoes, and I wasn't a massive fan of them, but I know that Nick's a big fan of the more recent Cloudboom Strike LS, but this is a shoe that is designed with a lot of the developments that are in the carbon plate race shoes, but this is a shoe that is designed for those 4 hour to 4.5 hour marathon runners. Now that's a concept that we've seen a few times over the past couple of years, where brands have started to look at their race shoes and try and develop something that is more for the general runner. Whether or not the runners at that sort of time level need a different type of shoe, I'm not entirely sure. Maybe we'll do a podcast on it at some point. But what I would say is that because of the changes that are made to this shoe, I don't think it really feels like a carbon plate race shoe. It feels more like a super trainer, and it does have some benefits in here that you don't get in carbon plate race shoes. I'd say one of the main ones is stability, and that sort of support that you get from certain shoes that you don't get in carbon plate race shoes, because they're very they're minimal. They don't have lots of firmer midsole in them. They don't have a supportive midsole section in them. So those shoes are not particularly well designed if you do need a little bit of support. There's loads of support in this shoe. It's a very stable shoe. It's quite a firm midsole in it, and it's definitely a shoe that feels more like a super trainer than a carbon plate race shoe. And if you're a runner that is looking for 4 hours to 4.5 hours, and one of the things you really want is stability, that might be a good option. But not everyone needs stability at that time. I mean, there's plenty of runners that run that time and they use carbon plate race shoes, and they don't have any problem with that, so they don't necessarily need stability. But that is one thing you get from these. The other thing I'd say is I went out, the first run I've done in these was a 10k, and I ran it at 5 minute kilometers, which is my comfortable easy pace, but also the pace that this shoe is sort of aimed at for marathons. And I took it up to about 4 minutes 30, which is my faster training pace for if I'm doing marathon training. And I found that at that 5 minute pace, it felt fine. It felt very comfortable to use, a little bit firm for me, because at 5 minute kilometers, it's generally an easy run for me, so I'm like a much softer foam in it. This is a bit firmer than I would like, but it felt comfortable. It felt like you could cruise very nicely in it. When I picked up the pace in it to about 4:30, didn't feel like a carbon plate race shoe when I was going faster. It didn't feel like it wanted to go faster, and to be honest, it's not the lightest shoe in the world. And you can feel that when you're running in it. It does feel like a bit of a heavier shoe. So I think that would impact some people if you were running a marathon in them, because if you're running a marathon, the slight difference in the weight of a shoe can make a difference over the course of it. But I would say that I definitely don't think it's a shoe that particularly feels conducive to picking up the pace over what it's stated as. So if you're running at 5 minute kilometers, feels fine. But if you start going faster, it just feels a little bit clunky, a little bit too heavy, and definitely doesn't feel nippy in any way. And I didn't get a lot of energy return off that midsole. It just feels very sturdy and supportive as well. But what I would say about it is it does feel a bit more like a super trainer. So I would probably say I wouldn't compare this with carbon plate race shoes at all, because it doesn't feel like a carbon plate race shoe. What it does feel like is shoes, super trainer type shoes, like the Super Blast 2. Mega Blast is actually a very close comparison with this, not necessarily for the performance benefits, but the way it feels. It feels a bit of a bigger, chunkier shoe, feels a bit more solid on the feet, and it's not a shoe that I wouldn't race in the Mega Blast either, but it's definitely a shoe that feels in like it sits in that realm, and I'd probably argue to say that the Mega Blast is probably quite a good shoe if you are looking at a 4-hour marathon time, because it is a bit more support in it. It's a bit more of a solid shoe, which is what this shoe is going for. So yeah, so that first run, I wasn't particularly wowed by this, and I think that's probably because I was coming at it as a carbon plate race shoe, not as a super trainer or even just a supportive training shoe. And if I did, I think I'd probably have enjoyed that run a little bit more in it. But it was comfortable. It felt fine at a nice consistent pace. It just felt a little bit clunky on the feet when I tried to pick up the pace. The outsole on it is this fairly thick layer of rubber. Felt pretty good. Didn't have any problems with grip in this at all. And it was raining when I was running in this. So yeah, outsole feels okay for me so far. Okay, so my early verdict on the on Cloudboom Max, I think that it's a shoe that is probably going to struggle a little bit from its definition. I think it's a race shoe that is designed for a certain type of run, so that 4-hour to 4-hour 30 marathon mark, and I just don't think you need this to run that time. I think there's plenty of really, really good solid shoes out there that don't cost £220 in the UK, which will give you many of the benefits that you're getting from this shoe. I think this shoe's even like something like Saucony Endorphin Speed 5, which is cheaper than this shoe, which has good level of stability in it. It's not as max stack as this shoe, but I think it offers you a lot of the benefits that you're getting from this shoe. And there's of course things like the Super Blast 2, which I mentioned earlier, which is not significantly cheaper than this. It's only just a bit cheaper, but I think you're going to get the same benefits from that shoe that you're going to get from this. It is fairly stable, nice cruiser, not the fastest shoe in the world, but it's amazing for running at a nice consistent pace, and maybe the Mega Blast as well. But yeah, I think for now I'll see how it pans out. It might soften up a little bit for me, and I know the other guys should be getting this as well, so it'd be interesting to get their views, because they've tested some of the other later carbon plate shoes from On. But for now, I just don't think it's a shoe that I would pick as a carbon plate race shoe, even if I was aiming for a 4-hour marathon time. That's it from me on this first run of the On Cloudboom Max. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click that little bell. And if you're going to catch me below, you can find it to our podcast, which comes out a couple of times each month. Thanks a lot for watching. Catch you next time.